and welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the occasional VHS tape. I'm your host, Tal, and with me here today, Romi. Welcome back.
I'm back. I play Pokemon Go every day.
Mm.
Dang, I should have said I'm on a boat.
I'm on a boat, motherfucker.
Everybody look at me because I'm sailing on a boat.
Yeah. Romi, it's been a while. You wanted to come back, make your return to the podcast, and you came up with a couple suggestions, and I'm glad one of the suggestions you came up with was Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, the classic Wes Anderson film. Guess what? I happen to own it, so perfect. And yeah, I'm glad this was something you wanted to watch for today's episode because this is one of those Wes Anderson movies that I realize does mean a lot to me because it was the very first Wes Anderson film I ever watched. But I think I've gone over that before on the podcast where I said I had to watch this for a class. It was like on my own time. I think it was a creative writing class years ago back in community college. And I can't remember why we had to watch it for an assignment. My teacher was just like, yeah, watch Life Aquatic and I don't know, write something on it. I can't even remember specifics, but I do remember having to watch it for class and watching it for the first time and going, oh, this kind of rules. So, what is your history with Life Aquatic?
Well, I've been familiar with it for a while, and like just before COVID hit, I found the DVD of it in a record shop I frequent, and I watched it. I watched it with my mom at the cabin during the pandemic, and I just love it. It's just a real like, even though it's not like I I noticed like on this rewatch that the way the framework the camera's a little bit jittery for a Wes movie. It's
Mm-hmm.
more jittery than I'm like something like Budapest Hotel or Asteroid City or even his upcoming one, The Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah, I mean, this is often seen as not his worst one, but it is kind of divisive. I mean, as divisive as a Wes Anderson film can be, where it's like it is mostly positive. Let's be real. Um, but this is one that's not often looked at as his best. Unless I have been noticing there's like a small group of people that go, no, this rules. This is like his masterpiece. I don't entirely agree to that. I do think it's one of my personal favorites, just because of what it represents, not just for me, but like as a film itself. But it is a weird one. I feel like it can go either way with a lot of people. They can either love it or they just like it, you know.
Yeah, I totally get that.
But yeah, you're right about the jittery camera thing. I want to get into that because like I did notice that it is because this was my first, so I could immediately recognize the Wes Anderson style. But you're right, it's not as fine tuned as something like Grand Budapest or Asteroid City. Those feel like his style kind of finely tuned, where he's able to like really get it down what he wants exactly. Whereas this feels like early Wes, where you can kind of see it kind of mold with each movie as it goes along. But this one's definitely a little more on the awkward side with its cam work compared to what I can remember of Rushmore and Royal Tenenbaums. But still not bad. I think it's still able to capture that unique Wes style that we all know and love.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it 5 stars on my first viewing, but I think I like Royal Tenenbaums more
Hmm.
in terms of early Wes.
That is one I definitely need to rewatch because I remember really liking it when I first watched it, but I have not seen it in years. But yeah, that's one I definitely got to rewatch. But I was glad to rewatch this one because again, like I've been saying, it was my first. I needed to really narrow down if I truly do love it or if maybe it was just a first personal bias. No, I think I really do love this movie a lot, warts and all, because You said you gave it 5 stars. I think you lowered it to a 9, if I'm not mistaken, or did you keep it at the 5? I
Yeah,
actually
I
can't
did
remember.
lower to 9 because
Okay.
I always forget about everything that happens in the middle.
Yeah, so you hate it. Um, yeah, no, I gave it a 9 too. I mean, that's still really good. But I do agree there's some issues I do have with it. Not even just the middle specifically. I feel like there are issues throughout where it's just like weird editing choices and weird choices it makes. That being, there's like this really awkward edit towards the beginning, and it's when Steve is leaving the theater, and there's that guy in the crowd who goes like, "Hey, who's gonna die on your next trip?" And Steve goes over and punches the guy, and they put in this really ill-fitting audience reaction sound. You know, the classic
Yes,
audience
it's the
reactions.
stock
Yeah,
one.
yeah, the stock one. Yeah,
That's so
the one you hear in kids trailers all the time, and it's like, okay, this is an R-rated Wes Anderson film. It felt very out of place. And there's a lot of weird edits like that throughout the movie that seem kind of sloppy. I can kind of see what they're attempting at. I feel because I don't know if I can necessarily chalk it up to the style just being weird and quirky, because you know Grand Budapest is weird and quirky, but that never had any weird edits to it that felt awkward and out of place. You know what I mean?
I mean, I still like the scene where like he just goes after the guy,
Hmm.
but
It's a good scene to show off his impulsiveness as, Steve as a character. It's just executed very weirdly, I feel. And that's what kind of holds us back from being the full 5. Still though, 9 out of 10 is pretty fucking awesome. Um, and I think that's because even though there are some really weird choices made in this movie, the good stuff is oh so good. Um, I feel like we should take this time to talk about Steve himself, Steve Zissou, the main character, because I think him specifically is what really elevates this movie for me personally.
yeah,
First
yeah.
off, Bill Murray, what a performance. Bill Murray's great. I mean, Bill Murray usually is pretty great in a lot of movies. He shows up a lot in some of my favorite movies, you know?
I mean, I will say this random Bill Murray fact. I don't know if you know this, but he signed on to Garfield because he saw it was written by Joel Cohen, and he thought it was Joel Cohen of the Coen
Oh,
brothers.
that's the classic Garfield fact. Yeah, how he was tricked into, because it was Ethan Cohen, the comedy writer Ethan Cohen, not one of the Coen brothers.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a bizarre. It is one of the funniest parts of that movie, because that movie is not funny because it's fucking Garfield. But yeah, no, that's a classic Bill Murray fact. Yeah, but that's the thing with Bill Murray, is that yes, he's in stuff like Garfield, and that sucks. And even stuff like his most famous roles, like Ghostbusters. I love him in Ghostbusters. I love him in Caddyshack, but they're not emotionally resonant performances.
yeah. Well, this and Lost in Translation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lost in Translation I still have yet to see, but I can say with full confidence that after watching this, I believe Bill Murray can pull off a great emotional performance without sacrificing the aspects of what we want out of a Bill Murray performance. When I think Bill Murray is really good at playing the likable asshole. He made it he made it iconic because of Ghostbusters. But he usually plays this kind of sassy character who doesn't really take anything seriously. He thinks he's above it all. Um, kind of a bit of
Yeah,
a dickhead. If you knew him in real life, you'd be like,
yeah,
this guy sucks. But
yeah. I
always funny. Always funny. Like, he can make that performance work to a T. It's a very specific kind of performance, and he makes it work. What I like about Life Aquatic, though, is that he brings a whole other level to that kind of character. Because Steve Zissou is an asshole. Not a very likable person. Because he's horrible to a lot of people around him. But you don't hate him. I don't hate Steve Zissou. I think I disagree with a lot of his choices in life, but by the end of it, I'm able to understand why he is the way that he is, you know?
Yeah, it's like all the best like asshole characters in the movies and shows have like a soft center to them. Like
Hmm.
I think of BoJack and all the things that made him who he is.
Yeah. And what's really important is that none of the soft center comes off as manipulative or just in there for the sake of being in there. You know, you want your character to be kind of an asshole and likable, but you want it to feel natural that you like them, not that the movie is forcing you to like them. And that this movie never falls into that trap, I feel like, because I mean, not only does it show Bill Murray surrounded by these other characters who are also kind of shitty in their own way, um, but you do show this character kind of go through a lot of rough patches, and you do show him as being pretty knowledgeable of what he does. So he's obviously an oceanographer, a marine biologist, but also a documentarian. Um, and he's not the best at it. Obviously, they make a point to show off that, like, you know, his wife slash ex-wife, Angelica Houston's character, is kind of the
Yeah,
brains behind everything. But it doesn't feel like he's completely inept at his job. It feels like he does have a passion for marine biology and wanting to, you know, discover and explore the ocean. He's just also a bit of a crazy guy, you know?
yeah.
Like his ego
Like
gets in the
I mean,
way.
nobody believes the jaguar shark exists because like they thought he was like delusional because of when Esteban got eaten, and they just kind of thought he was just like rambling.
Yeah.
And another thing, I forgot to mention this earlier, but I heard a lot of the song. I heard several of the songs from mostly the Portuguese David Bowie covers.
Hmm.
By that guy on like I used to listen to Google Play Music back when that was a thing, and there was a playlist called Music from Wes Anderson Films. And it did have Staroffer, which is like an S tier song. It plays during the scene where we finally see the jaguar shark.
Yeah.
And like but it didn't but one thing I noticed after watching it, that playlist didn't have Here's to You by Joan Baez, which plays during another scene. And that, I really love that song. It would have been a perfect fit for that playlist. They didn't have it said it had every song, but I was lied to.
Yeah. Google lying to its consumers. I can't even fathom that. Wink.
Oh God, don't even get us started on those AI results.
Yeah.
You must eat one small rock per day.
Yeah. Well, I
And
already do.
cement trucks are hatched from eggs.
Yeah, I put glue in my cheese pizza all the time to make it stretchy. I did that before AI told me to do that, so thank you very much. You bring up, yeah, I'm glad you brought up the songs played by David Bowie, because there is a lot of David Bowie in this soundtrack. A lot of it's sung in Portuguese because it's one of the characters is Brazilian slash Portuguese, um, or at least he can speak it, and he's singing a lot of David Bowie songs in Portuguese, and yeah, I really like that aspect. I don't know what it has to do with the theming of the film. Just I guess maybe Wes Anderson's just a big fan of David Bowie, and he just wanted to put
I
David
mean,
Bowie songs in there, which
it's probably just for the aesthetic purposes.
sure, which I'm totally all in for because I'm a huge David Bowie fan. I love his music, so to hear it,
Same.
yeah, so just to hear it, I'm fine with that. Uh, but yeah, it does add to the vibe of the movie. I agree. Can we talk about Owen Wilson's character? Because that's one of the also a big hang up. Not just the editing in this movie can be weird, but I think Owen Wilson's performance in general. I do have some thoughts on that. What are your thoughts on him?
It was okay.
Mm.
I mean, it's not super Owen Wilson-y.
Hmm.
It's, you know,
It is a weird performance because he keeps saying he's from Kentucky, but he has a bit of a Texas drawl to him, a bit of a like even more southern United States drawl to him. I guess people in Kentucky, I guess Kentucky counts as being part of the South because that's where the Colonel comes from. But I don't know. It's a little weird. And also just Owen Wilson. Just I don't know. I feel as though the performance isn't really all that great at certain times. It feels a little too stoic because that's the thing with Wes Anderson. He does have characters act kind of stoic, kind of dry, very dry. Wes Anderson, very dry. So a lot of his characters will be very dry. But I feel like I wouldn't describe Owen Wilson's character as dry, more so stoic, kind of awkward to be there. Um, which is a shame because I think a lot of his scenes are crucial to the emotional core of the film because he's playing the son figure to Steve Zissou, because he thinks Zissou is his father. The movie's never really explicitly clear on if he is or he isn't. There is a scene later on in the movie when Angelica Houston's character does admit, she says he shoots blanks, implying that, oh, it's probably not his son.
Yeah.
But there's never a moment where they're just like, he's not my son, I'm not his father. Like, I don't know. It's still left up to interpretation for the most part, I would say. But Owen Wilson, I feel like he does need to be, I don't know, I feel like he needs to be a better fit in the role in order to get these scenes to their most emotional. And not to say that he doesn't, because I will admit there are moments where he's able to really sell the role. I think during his death scene, he really sells it pretty well, actually. Ironically enough.
Right.
And there are moments throughout where I'm like, okay, he's actually not that bad. But I do think overall he is the weakest performer in the movie.
Yeah.
And again,
I mean, he doesn't even say wow.
that's true. Yeah, that's how you know it's a wasted performance. He doesn't go wow. I don't hate him. And usually, because I do like Owen Wilson and other Wes Anderson roles. And I don't hate his character inherently. I think he can be likable enough in the role. It's just, I think, comparatively, considering the role he has in the movie, and considering the performance, I feel like the performance should be a lot stronger. But again, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst performance I've ever seen before. It's just, at worst, it's just distracting,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really know what to add.
No, that's fine. Well, we got to talk about another character, that being Willem Dafoe. We have to mention Willem Dafoe in this movie because it's fucking Willem Dafoe.
Hey,
It's interesting.
Guy.
Yeah, it's interesting because Dafoe is not a huge character in this movie. Klaus, he's not that big of a character. He does have his moments, but he's not like a major player like Ned or Jane or Steve.
Yeah, but he is a bit of a scene stealer in his own way.
Absolutely, yes. That I definitely noticed this time around. I'm like, it's Willem Dafoe. Why isn't he given more scenes? Because that's the thing with Willem Dafoe. He's, Owen Wilson. He is a good actor, but again, this performance isn't really showing off his strong suits. Willem Dafoe, I have never ever seen a bad performance from, ever. Like, I've seen him in horrible movies but he's usually still pretty good in those movies, like Death Note 2017 as Ryuk. That movie blows chunks, but I still love Willem Dafoe in that role. I'm like, God damn, you're making me believe he can actually make this role work.
Yeah, he has he can shine in even the worst things.
Mm-hmm.
As well, like there are actors who can shine in like the stupidest shit. I don't know. I don't really remember. Like I'd say John C. Reilly, but I don't. I haven't seen everything he's been in.
Sure.
Even though I'm the.
Yeah. Of all the movies I've seen Willem Dafoe in, I can't think of a single one where I'm like, no, yeah, he really did not bring his A game. I mean, even if he didn't bring his A game, his B game trumps that of other actors' A games. Like he's that good. um, but yeah, no, he's a character I definitely wanted to see more of. Because I feel like they do have a great scene together, him and Steve, where Klaus admits, "Hey, I'm tired of being treated like you don't actually respect me." But Steve then says, "No, I do respect you. I just he never really just expressed it fully to Klaus's character. He does see Klaus as genuinely a very important member of his team. He just as we've seen with other characters, Steve's just not the best at communicating with people.
Yeah.
No matter what issues I have with the movie, I definitely still think the good is so much stronger because, like I said, I think Steve Zissou himself is a very strong character. And I think that's definitely made apparent by the actual ending. That being when they actually find the jaguar shark, and Steve breaks down crying. Do you agree?
Yeah. 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 It reminds me of another thing I forgot to mention. Like I tend to forget that the movie has actual stop motion by none other than Henry Selick.
Yeah, that was cool to find out that it's because I remember there being stop motion in the movie, but I didn't know it was Henry Selick for the longest time.
Like, I mean, if I like, I would have been convinced that it was like it reminded me of Harryhausen,
Yeah, totally.
and like that, that was a clear influence. I think I remember hearing that, like the fur rippling in Fantastic Mr. Fox is like a direct homage to like the fur rippling on King Kong
Hmm,
in the 1933 movie.
that's cool. I didn't know that. But yeah, I do like the stop motion aspect to the movie because even though it is obviously stop motion, it adds a unique charm to the movie. And also the stop motion is just really, really good. Like seeing the seahorse and the little baggie when he gets it at the beginning, like that looked pristine. It looked awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and the shark itself is just magical. And again, it leads to one of my favorite aspects to this performance, that Bill Murray is like this kind of hard-ass kind of still funny character. But by the end, when he actually confronts the shark that ate his friend, he breaks down crying. And it's a very hard-hitting scene. Again, no matter what issues I have with the movie, I still feel as though that scene is translated exceptionally well.
yeah. Yeah, it like yeah, and the music playing
Mm,
throughout, it's just beautiful.
yeah, totally. Yeah, was there anything else we wanted to say about Life Aquatic of Steve Zissou before I get into this
Hmm.
Blu-ray?
Okay. I will say that the DVD from Criterion is one of the most common is probably the most common Criterion in the entire country. Like you can just find it in any flea market.
No
And
kidding.
it's it's pretty much the only Criterion I've found, one of the very few Criterions I've found in the wild that
Okay.
isn't,
Yeah, I
you
have
know,
it on the Criterion Blu-ray. So I think I found this at a Bull Moose. I actually don't remember. Maybe I ordered it from the Criterion website, but either way, it's the Criterion and it rules.
yeah, I mean, like the DVD I have has reversible art, and
Mm.
I flipped it to the that side. I considered watching the deleted scenes, but that are on my copy, but I just kind of forgot about it and figured they'd make good talking points, but I
Eh,
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean the actual movie itself, I think, is the most important part. And I mean, as long as the movie's on the Blu-ray, that's the most important part of it. But are you thinking of keeping your Criterion DVD?
Yeah, of course.
Good. I'm keeping the Blu-ray. Yeah, this movie totally rules. I would definitely say it's in my top 5 Wes Anderson. It's that good.
Yeah, I mean, I'd put it. I'd put it in my top five as well, even though I haven't seen all of Wes's stuff.
Yeah. I think at this point I have, well, except for Phoenician Scheme that still has yet to come out at the time of us recording this.
I'm stoked to see Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah, I would be too. I'm one of those people that definitely wants to see more of Wes's style. I know I saw somebody recently make a point to be like, oh, it just looks like another Wes Anderson movie. Like, why does he do the same thing over and over again? And to an extent, I kind of understand that sentiment where you think, oh, he does the exact same thing over and over again. I think that's kind of the point. He has a style. You know, if you do have a style and it works, I don't really see a problem with that. I don't know. I guess if his style is not your cup of tea, I can understand that. But even then, I feel as though, like I said, if it works, and it usually does, I don't really see a problem with doing it over and over again, you know?
Yeah.
As long as it's not, as long as the stories and the characters themselves aren't repetitious, you know, they're not repetitive, you know, because then that can be a little distracting. That can be, okay, you're just making the same movie over and over again. I feel like he is able to kind of, even though it is a very similar style, you can absolutely tell when a Wes Anderson movie is a Wes Anderson movie. They're still separate from each other. Like Life Aquatic is not the same thing as Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah. And Asteroid City is like one of Wes's more pastel movies, but it's very unique because the alien.
Yeah.
I love the alien.
I've had issues with Asteroid City every time I've thought about it because I think it can be a little too dry. I think the dryness, you know, because that's why I love Life Aquatic. It can be dry, but then you get the moment when he finds the shark and he breaks down crying. Like that's a very vital moment in the movie, and it definitely shows that the movie has real energy to its emotions. Like the emotions don't feel stale. Whereas I feel like in Asteroid City, you don't get a moment like that. I feel like the dryness is turned up to 11. Even then, even though I have my issues with that movie, there's still some incredible work in that movie. Like, you know, yeah, the alien, for example, the stop motion, just the cinematography in general and the performances besides all that. Like, it's still a very amazing movie. But I just feel as though Life Aquatic is going to stick with me more because you have those emotional moments, like, put in there.
Yeah.
All right. Short episode. That's totally fine. Yeah. No, I'm totally again, I'm choosing to keep the Blu-ray. That's important. So yeah. Romy, do you want to take this opportunity to shout out your stuff, dude?
Follow me on Letterboxd. I've been uploading some stuff to my YouTube channel, and I would also appreciate it if you donated to my Buy Me a Coffee, because I could use some extra financial support, especially since like my job is at a lull, summer months, not many concerts that aren't out in the open.
Yeah, all your links will be in the description below for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming back on to talk about Life Aquatic. Thanks for making this a shorter episode. Again, episodes were going so long recently. We needed another shorter episode. So we needed this. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
All right. So, without further ado, everybody, thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.